welcome everyone to the Competitive Health Sciences Q&A. It is, again, the first meeting like this where we're doing virtual sort of open forum questions for our prospective students, newly admitted students, and current students at Wake Tech. We are Perry Health Sciences Admissions and Advising, and I will pause and let everyone introduce themselves.
All right, if we're going from the top down, I'm Shelley St. Aubin. I'm the Dean of Enrollment and Student Services, and I've been working with health sciences for almost 19 years now. So I'm glad to be part of all these programs. So I'm glad to see all the students are here.
Okay, good afternoon. I go by Beth, my middle name, Walters, and I have worked at Health Sciences Admissions and Advising almost 11 years. In my area that I'm responsible for is nursing program admissions and advising. So welcome to the session.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ryan Batchelor. I'm one of the advisors at the Health Science campus as well. I've got about 13 years of experience in admissions and advising and about 4 years specifically working with health science students. And I oversee our imaging programs, which are radiography, sonography, mammography, CT, and MRI. Thank you for coming today.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Toy Nelson. I am the baby in years of the group. I've only been with Wake Tech for about 3 years, but I've been advising for about 20 years. And my responsibilities or the programs that I do clinical admissions for are dental hygiene, dental assisting, and a non-competitive medical assisting. So we are going to jump right in. The goal of this session was to actually really just open the floor for questions. It's your opportunity, not necessarily to get advising because everyone's situation is a little different, but there may be questions that are good for everyone to know the answer to. So as questions are popping in, or you can feel free to unmute yourself if there's some time to do so, we'll begin addressing the questions. And if we find that there's a lag in questions or fewer questions being asked, then we do have a couple of slides that we can pull up to be able to share some information with each one of you. So I think really, Shelley, there are questions in the chat, so I guess we can get started.
Oh, excellent. And the first question is from Amy. She's wondering, she's finishing up her preliminary courses for pre-nursing this fall. How does the timing of the TEAS test work in order to have the scores to apply to clinical in January? Beth,
Okay.
you want to grab it?
Yeah. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so the TEAS exam is recommended after you complete both the Anatomy and Physiology 1 and 2, because it will include basic biology, physical science, chemistry, anatomy and physiology questions, as well as English language usage, reading, and math questions. So you would want to schedule your TEAS exam near the completion of Bio 169, your Anatomy and Physiology 2.
Yep. And the TEAS test.
Oh. Thank you. And then that will get I could get the scores back in time for the deadline for January, right?
Yes, the TEAS is currently being offered online through ATI testing, and they normally submit the scores the same day or within 24 hours.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. The next question is from Faith, and she wants to review all requirements in detail for the F1 pre-nursing students when registering for the nursing program. And I will confer with everyone here to see if they agree, but F1 is our international students. You need to go through Princess Solomon and Zanita Evans. They will give you your exact requirements. My understanding is you do need to have 12 credit hours, and then Princess and Zanita will do that student visa. Otherwise, we don't have anything to do with that, except I get a report from Princess that verifies that you're in the program to maintain your satisfactory student visa. Does anyone else know anything about the F1?
No, nothing more than what you said, Shelley. I mean, they do need to carry the 12 credit hour full-time course load. So Faith, exactly what Shelley said, go through Princess and Zanita to get your I-20 and your admission stuff worked out. And then once you've done that, we can kind of work together with Princess and Zanita to ensure that you have a full-time course load and that your classes are going to be meaningful towards nursing. So, we're used to working with full-time, with international students that have to have that full-time load for their I-20.
And that will follow. Faith also asked about the nurse aid program. Again, you need to speak with Princess and Zanita. They're going to give you the proper timing to do that nurse aid. I don't know about if I assume that you could take it outside of Wake Tech as long as it is at a state approved nursing, state approved nurse aid facility. But they're the ones that will help you get the requirements to be able to take the nurse aid.
Yeah, especially with the nurse aid, Shelley, especially because Princess does something special, Faith, to help you where she counts that going towards your hours, towards your load or whatever. So Princess can explain that to you.
All right. Devin would like to know, when is a good time to apply for admissions into the nursing program after approximately how many semesters?
Well, it's not really the number of semesters. It's truly the courses that you completed, and it appears that we are receiving an increase of qualified applicants, and most of our students are applying when they have completed all 9 of the pre-nursing courses with a good combination of mostly A's and B's in those pre-nursing courses. And of course, you'd have to have the nurse aid and the TEAS exam completed.
Devin followed up with a question adding to that is approximately how many semesters, assuming you're taking a full course load and have received an A in every course. So what about a full-time student, Beth?
If they're ready for college level courses, they've already met their chemistry in high school, they can certainly consider taking a full-time load in the, let's say, fall, spring, nurse aid in the summer. So it may take them a full year to complete all of those courses and requirements and then apply to the program. Just have to keep in mind that your specific biology courses and anatomy and physiology 1 and 2, microbiology, will be very demanding, maybe between 15 to 25 study hours per week. And then if you're taking 3 other courses, you're going to feel like you have a full-time and a part-time job. So it's all about developing a sensible plan to be successful, having enough time to study to make A's and B's. And some of our students, are parents, they have children, they have other family responsibilities, they may be working. So we like to know all of that information so that we can advise appropriately so that you can be successful in what you take and hopefully not have to repeat courses because you haven't done well. Everybody's timeline is different.
All right. Hopefully that got Devin. Amy, on the CPR, it is good for 2 years. You probably, if it expires while you're taking nursing classes, you are going to have to renew it because you're going to be out working in the hospital setting. So that CPR will need to stay current. And then how long is the actual nursing program? How many semesters?
Okay.
Beth?
It's actually 5 semesters. We do start either fall, mid-August, and if you start fall, you would complete the second spring, early May. So it's approximately 22 months. If you start in the spring, which is early January, you would attend spring, summer, fall, spring, no second summer term, come back your 5th and final semester in the fall of that second year, graduate early December. So it's about 21, 22 months of actual nursing courses, and each course includes theory, your nursing labs, and your clinical, where you're getting your experience with direct patient care in our clinical settings.
Toy. Amy wants to know, what is the best way to turn in the dental hygiene application? And I'll get to Samantha. I skipped you, Samantha. I'm sorry. Via email, by hand. Also, I know job shadowing hours have been waived. So will hours still be considered at all when looking at who is accepted first?
Let me also address Samantha's question as well. So the deadline is April 1st. And you mentioned that you were mailing it in, and actually our preference is that you email it. I think that's the quickest way for the application to make its way to us. That way, if it's mailed and it arrives before April 1st, we can't mark it as received April 1st because it was submitted way in advance. So it's preferred that you submit it on April 1st on that day. And I guess the best way to do that is to email the application. And that would be to hshealthscienceadvising@waketech.edu. Regarding the shadowing, it's waived for 2022. So one more year, it's being waived. You can still submit the hours. Either way, we don't award points for extra shadowing. We just acknowledge that that requirement has been done. So I would retain documents that you've completed the shadowing, but also submit a copy with your application. It's not necessarily going to change the way that we rank an individual. We still have to rank everyone based upon the grades they received in prereqs.
Ryan, Georgette wants to know, so for the sonography program, we are required to take Bio 163, but it was just stated that the TEAS test is going to cover information in 168 and 169. Will I have enough information from 163 to pass the test?
Absolutely. So just know that the content in 168 and 169, those two courses I can actually combine to award credit for 163, so they are very similar. 163 cannot go the other way. It will not give you credit for 168, 169, but just know that the content is similar enough and you do go deep enough into 163 that you can absolutely attain a very high score in the science section of TEAS. Absolutely.
All right, thank you. Kayla wants to know, if you are coming out of high school, what programs are required first for the pre-radiography program? You might need to, yeah.
Yeah, I think to answer that, my first question would be, have you attended the mandatory information session, or completed it rather, that's available on the website? That's going to literally kind of go through step by step all of the pre-admission requirements, the admissions requirements, the classes that you're going to take to earn points for radiography. And, to even further answer your question, I would say if you have that information session already and you do still have very specific questions about how the process is going to work, please feel free to schedule a bookings appointment directly with me so that I can kind of walk you through all of that information one-on-one.
Ryan, what was the total point range for those accepted into radiography this last application period?
All right, that I have to be very careful how I answer because we haven't actually, official determinations have not yet been made for the group that was ranked for the January deadline. I'm waiting to hear back from the department on that now. I can tell you with a good amount of certainty, I think it's very likely to say that 75 points or higher accepted for the January round. Again, that could fluctuate by a point or two depending on what I hear back from the department, but I think based on glancing at the spreadsheet, that it's safe to say 75 points or higher would probably be around the threshold for acceptance into radiography.
And I'll let Ryan correct me on this, when I was reviewing, kind of looking at that RAD list, because the way the points are, they're so close, that TEAS test is important. Please,
very.
Yeah, study
Yes.
for it. Don't rush it. Rest up.
I can't stress that enough. The way that we rank for radiography now, I didn't mean to cut you off, Shelley, but that's very, 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 the most important statement that you could hear. TEAS now for radiography is absolutely just as important as the grades in your classes. And the grades in each one of those classes, every single one of those A's is that much more important now. I do have 2 individuals that are straight A applicants that are going to be declined because they were unable to accumulate any points from T's. Now, that is a fluke kind of thing. That's not something that's going to happen all of the time. But like Shelly said, the best advice for T's, one thing we notice with T's a lot is that students just really rush it. Oh, I just need to check that off and just take T's. It's something you really need to prepare for. It's something that you should plan strategically for. The most strategic students are going to plan their first attempt at T's in a time where they have a 30-day window for a second attempt before the deadline that they're trying to meet. That's how the most savvy students are going to plan that, kind of just in case you need that second attempt type thing. Because T's is very, very, very important. Only one student out of my 46 applicants for radiography scored into the 20-point category, just so all of you know that.
And just don't forget the retest policy. You can take the T's test twice in a calendar year, and the test scores must be 30 days apart. And I would again stress, please study ahead. The cost of that exam with ATI Proctor, and it is $125, $130. So you don't want to keep spending money and retaking the test. You hopefully just want to take it once. All right. So hopefully that got you, Jennifer. Walter would like to know, for the radiography program, if my prereq classes will be completed by this semester, when should the T's test and nurse aid class be completed by to apply for the radiography program for the spring semester?
So your nurse aid course will need to start and finish before July 31st. And your T's would need to be taken on July 31st or before as well. So literally you have until July 31st to make both of those happen.
Now I'm going to follow up real quick, Ryan. For the nurse aid, due to COVID, you can be enrolled in a nurse aid class, but it needs to show that it's been completed by, was it September 1st?
Yes, that is correct.
30th.
September 30th. So that's only this year. In the future, you will not have that exception. So right now, if you're enrolled in a nurse aid class, but it doesn't finish until until August 12th, you're good. Does that, hopefully that makes sense. Was that clear? Yeah. But normally you do have to have it done by the application deadline. This July 31st, 2021, nursing, radiography, and sonography have a waiver, in essence, that will allow you to complete that nurse aid class by September 30th to still be eligible to submit that July 31st clinical application.
Yep, that is correct. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, we're so used to the deadline. I mean,
yep.
We had to waive it, or we had to give you that time extension because, as you know, Wake Tech didn't have nurse aid classes until just recently, and that, we wanted to provide you with that time. Hopefully that answers your question. I can answer, Laura, does Bio 163 count towards nursing? No, it does not. It can only be 168 and 169. Okay. Jamie would like to know, is there a specific institution required by Wake Tech for CNA?
No, but it has to be a state approved program. And you can go to the North Carolina Nurse Aid Registry to get that list of state-approved programs. Most of the community colleges offer it, but there are private institutions that you can take the nurse aid. They tend to cost about twice the tuition rate because they're not state funded. But just go to the North Carolina Nurse Aid Registry for the complete list of state-approved programs.
All right. Thank you. Oh, Maria would like to know, do we know when the letters will come out for acceptance for the nursing program for this fall?
No, I actually spoke with the nursing department head today. They do not know the number of students that they can consider accepting for the fall at this time. We ran into this issue last year. They may not be sent for a while, but last year they were sent in late April. So, maybe you'll still be hopeful that anybody that applied for this fall will get an admissions notification. They will be emailed. They haven't been actually mailing hard copies of letters. They'll be emailed, and hopefully sometime in April, but no definitive timeline right now.
All right, thank you. Brittany would like to know any plans to offer a LPN, a practical nursing program, in the near future. And Beth is smiling. Yes, but it has not been approved yet. But I'd keep an eye out on the webpage. They do have hopes to have a PN program soon. Would that be a good answer?
Yes, and can we say definitely not for this fall?
Oh yeah, definitely not for this fall.
So don't be looking for it that early.
Yeah. We are still waiting for the Board of Nursing to do some approvals. So Maria would also like to know, do we have a total point range for those accepted into the nursing program for this last application period?
Yes. So the group that applied for spring 21 accepted for the January 21. We were able to accept students with 140 and higher points.
And then Devin is asking about a threshold point value. You want to grab that one? There's not really a threshold. So what happens is every time Beth ranks for nursing, it varies based on the number of students who apply and how many students the nursing department will accept. I think when I started ranking with nursing, it was in the 120s, and it's just slowly but surely creeped up to the 140s. Because of COVID, there were fewer students that the nursing department could accept, and we've also increased in applications, because I think we used to have maybe in the 180s that applied, and now it's 240 to 250.
Yes, Wheaton had we had our largest applicant pool for spring of 21, and I think now that we have reviewed applicants for the fall, there's quite a few that applied who truly weren't eligible. They weren't meeting requirements to apply, so we're right around 225 eligible applicants for this fall 21, but we don't know the point range right now because we don't know the number they'll be able to accept.
Can we add for all the can Ryan, can you do for your programs about how many applications you yield and how many students do you accept? I'll kick it off with dental. I also do dental assisting. I don't know how many are considering that on the line, but dental assisting, we take 32 and we usually have about 80 to 70 applicants. For dental hygiene, this year we have the largest applicant pool at 160, and hygiene will only take 24, or only takes 24 because we've already made notifications for fall 21.
For my programs, it's a little, radiography, I feel pretty comfortable. Typically we have anywhere from, it ranges from like 40 to, I've had upwards of almost 70 applicants before. So you're typically looking at between 40 to 80 applicants for radiography every time. I consistently admit little as 17 students, as many as 23. So it's always going to hover around 20 students, give or take. Could be a few students less, few students more. That's for radiography. Sonography, that's a whole different ballgame because it's a brand new program. So I can give you the information on the two rankings that I've done, but it's not very accurate. Sonography is going to blow, I think, out of the water. It's going to get very, very competitive. I think the number of applications that we receive for sonography for a while will continue to grow quite a bit, just until people are used to us having that program. It's a big new thing for us. Let's see. The first go round for sonography, I won't lie, I didn't even have enough qualified applicants to fill the seats. Sonography, the requirements are a little bit different than radiography and nursing, in the sense that not only do you really, in a sense, need to take all of the classes before you apply because you need the points for your competitiveness, but there's a handful of the sonography classes that you actually have to take before you apply, or your application is not even valid to submit. So that's the difference with sonography, and I think that's what threw a few students off. And so the first go round, I didn't have enough qualified applicants to fill all those seats. I'm being told that for this next group for sonography, we will be taking in a total of 8 students, and that's out of a list of 22 qualified applicants. But again, when you hear 22 qualified applicants for sonography, know that next deadline, it's probably going to be more like 40 to 60. And, it'll probably, kind of grow a little bit for the next year or two until people get used to us having that program.
So I think we already talked about the nursing, 225 for fall, but this past spring, we had almost 300. LP and RN, I haven't spoken about. That program is designed specifically for students who are LPNs. They have completed a practical nursing program at another school and either just completed the program or they're working as an LPN. That program starts in the summer of each year. We usually have about 25 to 30 qualified applicants, and we usually only accept 12 for each summer. We had our most competitive group out of the 11 years that I've been reviewing. 10 years. We started in 2011, and students were accepted with 126 and higher points. So it has become a increasingly competitive program for admission. I don't know that any of you are LPNs, but it is an option for LPNs to complete their associate degree in nursing so they can become registered nurses.
Okay. As we're talking about the points, Alina would like to know, how similar are the required prerequisites for nursing and dental hygiene program? They're not very similar.
There's a few that are common. The English 111, the psychology 150, the sociology 210, your choice of a humanities fine arts, the biology 175, which is the microbiology. And then if a student were to take the 2-part anatomy and physiology 1 and 2, the bio 168 and 169, they can substitute that for the basic anatomy and physiology, the biology 163. And I've had several students who do prepare for both nursing and dental hygiene. So there's a way to parallel, the academic advising for that to maximize, the completing the courses that would be used for both. There's no nurse aid, no T's required for dental hygiene, but of course it is for the nursing. The nursing program would also need the developmental psychology and the English 112. And let's see, the communications is only required for the hygiene program, not the nursing program.
And you got the chemistry also? I'm sorry, I was typing up a response.
I did not catch that. Yes, you have to have a college level chemistry for the dental hygiene program, which, if students haven't had chemistry in high school and they're preparing for nursing and dental hygiene, they could take the chemistry 130 and 131. Or 131, and that could be used to meet the college chemistry course required for hygiene, but it can also be used to meet the prerequisite for the anatomy and physiology course required for nursing. So, that is something that you would definitely want to schedule an appointment with an advisor, Toy or myself. We could develop a parallel advising for both programs.
All right. Anything else, Toy? Can you?
I can't think of anything else, but parallel plans are always smart. If you're able to kind of plan for two and land in one, that actually makes smart sense to me.
Excellent. All right. Ryan, what is the approximate competitive point score for acceptance into the sonography program? That was from Alyssa.
All right, Alyssa. Again, just like I said for Rad, final decisions have not been made, but based on me looking at the spreadsheet where I ranked and the information that I've received from the department, it looks to me like for this January deadline for the sonography group that will be entering in the fall semester, it's looking like 91 points or higher.
All right. So hopefully that answers Alyssa. And all right, Alyssa would also like to know, all right, you want to expand on the sonography classes that must be taken before the application to the sonography program. I understand the T's, yeah.
Yeah, it's English 111, your English 111, Bio 163, Math 152 or 171, Physics 110 and 110A. So all 4 of those classes must be taken for you to even be eligible to apply. But really and truly, like all of the competitive programs, you really need to take all of the classes in most instances before you apply, just for, for purposes of points and making yourself competitive enough.
And if you haven't been to the information session, complete that. And if you haven't been to our webpage, if you go to just type in HS admissions, I'll type it in .waketech.edu. That's our specific page. And we've got checklists for each of these programs. And it will list the classes, and it will even list the points that you will receive if you make an A, a B, and a C. So that's very helpful to have. If you don't, if you don't have that, it's just, 2 pages. And all right. So Faith asked a good question, and I know Toy answered it, but she was looking, I think, probably at the program of study and listed a bunch of humanities, Art 111, 114, 115. Realize that each of our programs have a humanities fine arts elective, and you only need 1. Your evaluation when you go into self-service, I think for nursing it shows 3. I think it's humanities 115, philosophy 115, and philosophy 240. But again, you only need 1. And I'm going to go back up since if anyone has more questions, go ahead and answer, put them in. But I'm going to go back up to Amy because I think this is a question a lot of you have, or maybe don't realize you have, but you will now. Amy was asking that if there's about 8 months between applying to your turning in your clinical application and starting the program. So again, with dental hygiene, with all of these, so for dental hygiene, your application deadline January 31st, but you don't start until the fall. Same with the nursing, same with the radiography. That application deadline's January 31st, you start in August. What do you do in that spring semester? I'll let the specialists. What recommendations do you have for students who are sitting there with that semester?
I can go first.
Yeah, go ahead. Lots of different recommendations. Yeah,
for nursing, certainly if you want to work part-time or full-time as a nurse aide, that's a great opportunity to go ahead and get that healthcare experience. It'll make your transition into a nursing program, a little bit easier, but most likely you'll plan to be working in the future in one of the magnet status hospitals in our area. Those would be UNC, Rex, Duke, Wake Med, and they will all expect the associate degree nursing graduate with the RN licensure to complete an RN to BSN, typically within 5 years from the date of hire. So you could continue to take additional general education courses to go towards that RN to BSN completion. There's 11 different state universities that the community colleges have an articulation agreement with. to complete the RN to BSN, mostly online opportunities while you're working. You could work full-time as a nurse. The additional general education courses can be taken through the community colleges. You would need courses in the areas of literature, fine arts, if you haven't already completed, because you have to have one fine arts, one humanities, one history, statistics, usually a college level math, a college level chemistry, a sociology elective, and a couple of general electives, in addition to the specific nursing courses that RN to BSN course program will require. But that's a great way to stay in school, complete additional courses at the community college rate. And some students may work part-time, while they are continuing to take some of these additional general education courses to fulfill those RN to BSN completion requirements. So the RN to BSN information is on our nursing admissions and covered in our information session for nursing. And you can always, reach out to me as well if you need some guidance in planning for any of those additional RN to BSN general education courses that you might need.
I think that, like Beth said, that's what a lot of students do in the down semester for nursing. For radiography, you don't really have additional coursework that you take for radiography per se. I can say that I've seen a very popular recent trend of radiography applicants deciding that they want to make themselves eligible to be able to apply for radiography and sonography. So some of them are going ahead and taking those extra couple classes that are different between the two programs so they can apply to both. Some of them are applying for RAD if they're not most competitive, and then they're doing those other couple classes that following limbo semester so that come the next deadline, if they weren't competitive to get in when they applied the first time, when they reapply, they have more points. They're now eligible to apply for both, and have their names in both pots that way. If you have young kids and you're preparing to get into the clinical program, you may want to opt to do no classes at all during that time. You may want to spend as much time with your young kids as you can at that time, because once you get into clinical programs, it's a whole nother ballgame than what it's been when you've been taking your gen eds to make yourself competitive to get into the program. So, it's going to be a lot more hands-on, a lot less time for missing class, anything like that. So again, you may want to spend as much time as you can in between preparing yourself to make yourself competitive and getting in to getting things in your personal life set up the way they need to be so that you're successful when you're in the actual program. Again, I cannot stress that enough. If you have younger children that you're going to be, dealing with while you're in the clinical program as well. Some people want to work as much as they can. Some people want to work like 2 jobs, overtime, just save up as much money as you possibly can so that once you're in clinicals, again, you're not going to be able to work your typical 40-hour 8 to 5 work week when you get into the clinical program. That is not possible for any one of our clinical programs. So you got to think about that financial aspect as well.
As for the dental admissions, I would suggest for students to do as Ryan had suggested. If you're working now and you're accustomed to working full time and going to school, excellent opportunity to kind of build that nest, of funds. There are no additional courses to take other than those 8 prerequisites for the dental hygiene program, and there are only 4 for dental assisting. And dental assisting does allow the opportunity for some of the pre-clinic students to take clinical courses for extra points. But I would suggest this for dental hygiene students is number 1, find a dental office, especially now that people are getting vaccinated, to do shadowing. I've had students do the shadowing of a dental hygienist and realize they didn't actually want to be a hygienist. They want to be a dental assistant because they want to work in an orthodontics office. So, get clarity on your goal. A lot of times students will make decisions based upon something that they've imagined versus the reality, and seeing the work day to day with your own eyes, not as a patient, but as an observer, is super important in my eyes. The other thing is I do encourage students to apply to multiple hygiene programs. So in that time, what they may want to do is start exploring other hygiene programs that are within the 13 programs that are offered in the state. I think it's 12 to 13, to see if it's really smart to apply to multiple programs, just in case you're not selected for Wake Tech's program, you have other acceptances to entertain. So that would be my advice for hygiene.
All right, thank you, thank you. We have some more questions. Jennifer would like to know, how long is the CNA certificate good in terms of applying for programs?
Yeah. CNA is actually good for 2 years. Hopefully, the North Carolina Nurse Aid Registry will be able to offer, the certification exams after completion of a state-approved program. There was an issue this past year with that, but it is valid for 2 years. And if you're not able to complete the CNA exam, then completion of a nurse aid program within 2 years of application is meeting the admissions requirements.
And the nurse aid is required for nursing, radiography, and sonography, and it has to remain current through the first day of the actual program. So if you're accepted in the nursing, rad, or son, then that nurse aid has to be current. It has to be valid till that first, to the start of those clinical classes. It can expire after that. You do not have to keep it current while you're in the program. Is that correct, guys?
Yes, correct.
That is correct, but I'll just add a little bit of information for nursing students. If you have current certification as a Nurse Aid 1 with the North Carolina Nurse Aid Registry, then after completion of your second semester of the nursing program, you have satisfied all the Nurse Aid 2 skills, and then you would have the option to submit a Nurse Aid 2 application, and the fee used to be around $35, and then the nursing department will actually sign off on your skills verification for your application. So you wouldn't actually have to apply to go take an exam. The nursing department will check you off for those skills. So you could become a Nurse Aid 2 after the completion of your second semester of the nursing program if you're currently a Nurse Aid 1. So that would be some incentive to keep that Nurse Aid 1 certification current.
All right, thank you, thank you. Lauren, I don't know if we know your answer, but I'll see if Ryan does. Ryan, do we know where the Sonography Clinicals take place?
I can find out for you. I know that our department head for sonography, I was just in a meeting last week, she's actually working diligently right now to secure additional sites. I know what some of those could potentially be, but I certainly don't want to say until I know we have them. I'm pretty sure, I feel pretty certain we already have a rotation through Wake Med, but I'm not positive on which location. So again, I need to speak directly to the department head to get that information for you. If you want to do a bookings with me one-on-one, I'm more than happy to get that information for you.
All right, so hopefully that helps, Lauren. Georgette would like to know, can we clarify the point system? And it is a little bit different. Nursing and dental are similar. Radiography and sonography are a little bit different. And Toy's been sitting there kind of quiet. Toy, you want to talk about yours in nursing?
Sure. So I'll let Beth expound upon nursing, but nursing does have 9 prerequisites or pre-admissions courses, pre-clinic courses, however you want to name them, general education classes. You'll hear different people say different things, but these are courses that are sort of within the realm of a general category. Those are courses like English, psychology, sociology, anatomy and physiology, microbiology, chemistry. So by taking these courses, you are earning points. There are point values assigned to the grades of A, B, or C. Those students at the point of which at the point where they apply to the clinical program, we obviously can't accept all 225 for nursing, and we can't accept all 160 for dental hygiene because we are restricted to the number of students that can be admitted into the program just because of space and accreditation. So as you are taking a class, and let's say you earn A, you get 12 points for A for a non-science course, and for the sciences, the points vary, but they're double points for the sciences because obviously the sciences are going to take a lot more out of students, and you use that information very actively in the program from the point where you are entered into the program to the very end of the program. So they have higher value. Students with total accrued points that have the highest points are the ones who are selected for the program. Now, if you're asking this question, what I would suggest that you do is you go to that specific program's page and look at the checklist. On the program pages for all the programs, there are these wonderful checklists that have a listing of all the admissions requirements and the list of prerequisites in addition to the point totals for each one of the classes that you take. And the checklist is really a great way to identify what have I already taken and what do I have left to do, so that you're always clear on what those requirements are.
Yes. And I would just like to add your foundation in your anatomy and physiology 1 and 2 and microbiology are critical to your success in the nursing program. I highly recommend that you strive to, make an A. We hope that you'll make minimum B. Currently it appears if you have C's in those courses, you will not have enough points overall to be competitive for nursing admission. Plus a C to me means that you haven't mastered the material. Your foundation in anatomy and physiology 1 is really necessary to move on to anatomy and physiology 2 and microbiology. So we do award a lot more points for those, and it makes sense. You're going to study a lot more for those courses, and the foundation is necessary for you to be successful in a nursing program.
And I'll piggy right back on that and let y'all know that just because the points for bio is weighted the same for sonography and radiography as all the other points classes, it is absolutely the most foundational course that you're going to take. I'm very blunt about that when I talk to students about that course. I actually think you need to allow, based on what most students tell me that are making good grades in that class, you need to expect it to be like a full-time job in itself, literally, time-wise, as far as what you're going to put into that class every week, like 30, 40 hours a week in bio. Total time. So it's nothing to play around with. And like Beth said, it's the foundation for your entire career, whether you're going into nursing, rad, or sonography. You can go speak to a 4th, 5th semester rad student right now, and they're literally going to tell you that they're still relying on what they learned in Bio 163 every single day at that point. It's the difference between you accidentally killing a patient, in your career and not. So it's nothing that you want to skimp over or just get by and get through. I can tell you right now, wholeheartedly, I think we would all agree, all of us advisors, that it makes us literally cringe when we have a student in front of us that's like, oh, I just need to get through my bio. No, you don't need to just get through your bio. You need to get your bio.
And if you have not discovered the STEM Center or the ILC, please research those. Those are tutors that are free, and they are available to you to help assist you get through those bio courses. They're also there for English, psychology. There is a tutor center for every class that we teach. So hopefully that answered your questions. And again, those point systems and the exact points are on those checklists located at our webpage. If you cannot locate them, you can always email us at hsadvising@waketech.edu, and we can send you the direct link. I do have a good question here, and I figured Ryan could answer this for I'm hoping it's Casey. If I mispronounce your name, I apologize. Do I need to take chemistry as a prerequisite for sonography? And also, how long would it take me to complete sonography program as a part-time student?
Very good question. So you will have to meet a prerequisite for Bio 163. If you took chemistry in high school and you feel comfortable with that foundation, you made a C or better in high school and you actually remember what you learned, then you're welcome to use that as the foundation or the prerequisite for your Bio 163. If you did not, then you can take our chemistry 090, or you can do a lower level bio in order to meet the prerequisite for Bio 163. So it's not so much that sonography is requiring the chemistry, but you need to have the appropriate foundation for your anatomy and physiology, if that helps answer that part of your question. Secondly, as far as how long it's going to take you going part-time, it's a little bit difficult to answer that question, but you're more than welcome to do a one-on-one with me. I will say that, because I get very intrusive when I'm advising my students, especially if you're any bit non-traditional, meaning you have a job, a family, kids, anything that you're juggling outside of school. I'm truly going to give you very, very blunt advice. I would say part-time, count on it taking a minimum of 1.5 years, maybe 2 years to knock out all of the prerequisites, including, your nurse aid course and stuff like that too, if you're truly going to go at it at a part-time rate. And I will say, I'm not scared to say it to students, sometimes you can't fit a square peg into a round hole. And sometimes if you really want this, then it's going to mean you going about this in a part-time fashion, not a full-time fashion, depending on the amount of responsibility you have on your plate outside of school.
I would totally agree with that. Sorry, Shelley, is that college is not like high school where you're starting and you're finishing with the same group of students. Your plan will be significantly different than someone else's plan. And I just think it's so amazing that a community college exists to be able to support students who want life change, but still have responsibilities beyond school. So I think one of the smartest decisions some students make is you always have to take into consideration what you already have on your personal plate and then make decisions about how school factors in. You'll get to your goal, but you'll probably get to your goal without having to reapply or retake courses if you always pace yourself. Always meet with an advisor, allow for us to help you plan and vet all the other things that you have on your plate so that you can successfully get to the point A to point B.
And I just wanted to make sure, just to clarify, realize that once you're in the clinical classes, that is not part-time. You can take your English, your psychology, you can take 5 years to complete those. We're not going to be picky about those. But once you're accepted into radiography, sonography, or nursing, you must complete those classes in the order that they are on that program of study. You must make a C or better to move to the next semester. And so one thing, as Toy was saying about scheduling that time, when you hit dental hygiene for that first semester, are there 5 classes? There's either 4 or 5 classes that first semester.
Right.
It's
a full-time job.
Yeah. You have to pass those all with a C or better. And if you don't, you are out of the program.
And remember, yeah. Sorry, Shelley, I just wanted to add in, remember guys, that when you're in the clinical classes, like Shelley's saying, that C or better, remember that that's on a 7-point scale, not a 10-point scale.
Absolutely. Yeah, and for nursing, they have a theory grade, a nursing lab grade, and your nursing clinical grade. So there's 3 components for each NUR nursing class, and you have to have a minimum 78 in theory, lab, and clinical to complete with that minimum 78C to progress to the next semester. And keep in mind that all of our clinical health science programs are daytime. So once you are accepted and you commit to enrolling in a clinical program, they are daytime.
And that's exactly why I said my piece before about speaking to the individual student in your circumstance so much to help prepare you for that clinical schedule, especially if you have young kids.
So you can always see it's a great way. Make an appointment with any of the advisors. I think I added in a link to make an appointment. Feel free, go to our webpage. I'm impressed. I'm amazed. I mean, Toy and I were sitting here thinking we'd have 5 questions and we'd have to be tap dancing to talk. But you guys have asked so many great questions.
Yes, you really have.
So our time is actually up. Does anybody have any last? Oh, there's our webpage, hsadmissions.waketech.edu. And right there where it says make an appointment, you just schedule an appointment. It will be virtual. And see, I believe we all have appointments available. So you can schedule. I think I actually even have something this afternoon that's still available. But yeah, make an appointment. Please ask questions because our main goal is to see all of you graduate. So, you know, we're here with your answers. All right. Any other questions? Any last words from everyone?
Thank you guys for being so engaging and, you know, asking such great questions.
Yes.
Thank you.
We want to see you succeed. So, you know, that's what we're here for.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your participation. Please reach out if we can assist you. That's why we're here. And we want you to be successful.